All right, next up we've got a faux coffered ceiling. I don't want to call it coffered and get, hate in the comments, because real coffered ceilings are going to be built out more like boxes. I'm going to run trim along this bedroom ceiling to mimic a coffered ceiling. We've, put V-groove on the walls and removed the existing crown to do that. So now I'm going to put 1x4 flat stock as a new crown, and then 1x6 flat stock in a 2x2 grid or 3x3 grid on the ceilings to add some detail and finish off what will be the new first floor master bedroom. So first steps here, they ran a new box to the center of the room where a flush mount's gonna go. So they had to cut holes in the ceiling. Luckily the electrician is a good guy, made it easy. He saved those cubes. So I'm gonna put them back here, just put a little block where the strapping is missing to make sure that's sturdy. And then I think that this piece of the coffered ceiling is gonna go right over these holes. So it's good to put them in first to make sure I'm making the painter's job as easy as possible. Step 2 is gonna be the crown, which I'm gonna use my handy digital measuring tape here. Pop it up in the corner like that. Get the dot to the other side and press the button, and then it'll give you the measurement. Definitely the easiest way to measure things like this when you're working alone. Run those 4 pieces around the room, and then I'll check back in and we'll lay out the crossing pieces. One other thing before I get started, the fact that these holes are already exposed makes marking out the strapping a lot easier, but I definitely want to mark them to make sure I'm nailing into something strong with all of this stuff. So just seeing this one gives me more than enough info. I know now it's going to be 16 on center in both directions with the strapping running this way across the room. All right, so the flat crown is up. Came out looking pretty nice. I mean, it would look good just like this, but the more detail, the better sometimes. So we're gonna go forward with this ceiling now. And basically in laying this out, I just used my digital tape here, banged it up here, got the measurement across, and that was, I forget off the top of my head, but when I divided it by 3 to account for these 3 sections, they're going to be split by 2 cross pieces of trim. It came out to about 4'6". So I marked that location and that location. That'll be the center of the trim, which is 1x6 flat stock. So I'll mark the center point on each end of the trim and then line that up with this line. And I'm starting with these pieces across because that's the way the strapping is going, and I'm not going to be hitting the strapping. This is my mark for the strapping. And because I'm going to be missing studs with this piece, it's better to go wall to wall with that first as opposed to this way. This way, I'm going to be able to hit every piece of strapping across. So it's better with this first long piece to be able to at least get it in on the ends and nailed up in those corners. And then I'll PL it, and I'll probably crisscross some brads to help hold it in place until the PL dries. So at this point, all I do is use my digital tape to get these dimensions, go upstairs and cut them, and then we'll get them in place and we'll move on to the next step. First 2 pieces in. Nice and snug. I was able to angle 2 GRKs into the corners and get a good grab there. Other than that, it's just PL and zigzagging the brad nails in different directions to get it as tight to the sheetrock as I can. Actually ended up coming out pretty tight, so once that dries, it'll be fine. Now I'm going to do the cross pieces this way, which is going to be 1, 2, 3 cuts on each one. And I'm probably going to cut them long, bring them down here, and then hold them up into place and kind of mark where they're intersecting with the trim. That way I can make sure that, you know, this corner and that corner of the piece are both going to end up touching nice and tight. Should be good to go. All right, we're all done here. And came out great. You know, you can overcomplicate coffered ceilings in a million different ways, but the client was being cost conscious here, asked me the simplest way to do it, and I got it done. And, you know, even joints like this, you know, I was debating putting biscuits in there, which is a lot more, you know, making marks, taking it down, setting up another tool, added work, and I ended up just saying, you know, let's just put a bead of PL behind each joint. And, you know, I made sure that they were as flush as possible and then angled a brad nail on each edge, and it'll hold fine. And so, you know, within a couple hours and at minimal material cost, I'm able to add a lot of detail to what was once a basic room. And, you know, I kind of had free wheel with what dimension lumber to use and stuff, and I'm happy with what I went with. I almost used 2x4 primed pine that the lumberyard in town offers. I thought that a thicker profile would look nice, but I'm really happy. I decided to keep it flat with the 1x stock and use the 1x6 instead of 1x4. It looks a little more legitimate. And the 1x4 as the crown, I think ties in nicely with it. So, you know, you can go a bunch of different directions with something like this, but this is going to look really nice. And now, I mean, you can see maybe imperfections in the sheetrock where the shadows are, where it ties into the ceiling, but, you know, quick bead of caulk from the painter all the way around the room, and some nice paint colors, and this is all gonna look great. So that's it.